Hello, Good Life Travelers. Welcome to another episode of Travel Talk Tuesday. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
It's this almost jungle themed. Tamara kind of looks like
a
cheetah print. Yours looks like the stuff the military would wear, like
you can't wear
when
that.
they're and then I don't have anything on.
This is camouflage, so I could hide and look at the animals better.
It's part of our talk beforehand. Ooh. I said don't stare out the window during the show.
That was an interesting one.
There's a lot of traffic that goes past our window.
Because Christy yesterday said, "Oh, I don't have to do anything with the show tomorrow." I said, "All you have to do is not stare out the window the whole time." That's all we need you to do. Well, that's a failure.
Okay. Well, that was an interesting person walking by.
The wheels are falling off this wagon, or the safari vehicle. Oh.
Segue.
It is Safari Week here at the Good Life Travel Company. I did try one of these foods before, and
of course you
and
did.
now it's in my teeth. And we're welcoming back our African travel specialist, Tamara. Welcome back, Tamara.
Thanks. Did you guys miss me?
We did. It was quiet around the office.
Yeah.
There was no one to keep Chrissy in line.
Oh.
Roy cried all day. Like a lost sheep.
Yeah, I missed him. I really missed him a lot.
He was. Missed you too.
I showed his picture to a few of the kids that I came across in Tanzania, and they said Simba, which means
he does look like a Simba.
Little do they know that Roy is the biggest wimp in the world.
Yeah, he really,
he's not king of the jungle by any means.
No, he would not survive.
He's king of his little jungle in the backyard.
He's not even, that's like the
until a bird comes.
Yeah.
So it is Safari Week here at the Good Life Travel Company. So we have lots of fun planned all week today. Yeah. And it's almost like it was planned that it's the week you come back from your safari.
I wonder who put the marketing thing together.
And that we could talk all about safari. So I think before we dig too deep, I thought we'd go into some basics first about safaris 101, because there's some stuff a lot of us don't know about it.
I'll have a little quiz.
And then I thought, hey, don't take over. This is not your show. And then I thought we could go through your experiences on the safari. We could hear about it. And if you haven't been following along, Tamara's Facebook group, Traveling with Tamara, has some phenomenal pictures and videos of her safari. And it was almost like you were a professional, Tamara, with your pictures. I was like, she's like a real photographer here.
Every time I go on one of these trips with other people, I see their great camera phones, and I want to immediately upgrade.
We get a text.
Yeah.
We need an Apple 15. We need an Apple 21.
Yeah,
Last time it was the, what's the other version? Android version.
Yeah, Samsung. I really do like that one a lot. Because you can, like, erase people or things, make people skinnier. And,
hold up. What's the name of this camera?
I can't believe that you haven't jumped at that.
We may have to do that.
Phone. Yeah.
So we have an action-packed show, and there are snacks. Can we start with just a little snack because I haven't had breakfast yet? Which one?
I did bring that many back.
Which is fine.
You can
We're on a diet.
any of them. Yeah.
Well, I really want to try this chocolate.
A couple little chocolate things. We had these little chocolates in our lunch often. They're good. It's so I was in Tanzania, and that's sort of close to the equator, which makes it for good coffee and cacao growing region.
Which I never knew that about Africa. I knew about South America.
Oh yeah, if you're close to the equator.
Chocolate's a little rough.
Oh, well, it made
across
it
the world.
melted. Yeah.
All right, you want to start your game because I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Nothing. It's just
chocolate. Actually, I think you would like it, Christine.
It's good
You
chocolate.
want one square?
No, too many points.
Just a half a point there.
You'll like it.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's probably made in China.
You'll be looking for the rest later. And I brought cassava chips, which is a root vegetable.
I was wondering if it was like a plantain or what.
You should be very proud of me that those made it back fairly unsmashed.
They look good.
Yeah. That took a
or made it back.
Yeah.
I couldn't carry a bag of chips like this around with me.
That took a lot of effort to not make those smashed. And then there's some sort of weird, I don't even know what that is.
I tried it. What did you say it's like?
Like chow mein noodles.
Kind of, yeah.
You know, it's not phenomenal, but if it was on my desk, I'd eat it all day.
How'd you guys open that already?
It was open already.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Garbage trucks here.
Refocus, ladies.
I didn't know what that was at first.
All right, so what's your little game?
Okay, so I have some Swahili words, which is the language they speak.
Keep it clean, though, please.
I will.
This is a kid-friendly show.
Tanzania, they speak English and Swahili, and when they want to talk to each other, they use Swahili. When they want to talk to you, they use English. But
try this?
No, I'll have some when we're all done.
If they make it.
So, what does bia mean?
Well, sometimes I call Christy a Bia. In the office.
Chrissy, you should know this.
Beer.
Yeah, good job.
Oh, did you guys cheat?
No.
I thought beer, and then when she said you should know this, I know it all
was a minute
ties
before
into
we came
alcohol.
Simba, I already gave you that one.
Lion, yes.
Jumbo.
Coffee. Oh, vehicle.
No.
Happy.
Oh.
No. This is how you greet each other.
Hello.
Jumbo. Hello.
Hello.
We use that word a lot. Rafiki.
Is that a monkey?
In the movie The Lion
Yeah.
King. But that's not what the word means. Rafiki.
Wild.
We use this word a lot too.
Wild.
Nope. Friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cute.
You're my Rafiki.
Asante Sana.
That's a
Asante
drink, isn't
Sana. No.
Sunset.
No. Thank you.
Thank you, Asante Sana.
Pole pole.
Chicken.
Pole pole. No, but I'll give you that one too. Pole pole.
That's the pole.
No. It means slowly, slowly.
Okay.
Like walk pole pole. Slowly, slowly.
Isn't that a song? Pole, pole.
Bully.
Pole, pole.
Cuckoo. Cuckoo.
We've used that to describe Chrissy in the office too.
Is that a bird?
Yeah.
But it's not. It doesn't mean bird.
Yeah, it means a type of bird.
Oh.
Cuckoo.
Like a cuckoo clock.
Chicken.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you want...
Well, there is a cuckoo bird.
Yeah, but is there really a cuckoo bird? We'll have to look that one up. Missouri.
That's a state.
Yeah.
Chrissy, do you know what
It
country?
also is a word. Do you know what country?
United States.
Okay.
Oh my God, you guys.
There's still a delay though.
I know. I'm choking on the chocolate.
Missouri means good.
That's
And
weird.
Maybe that's why they named that state Missouri.
why? Because it's good.
Isn't
it's a
it
good
the show me
state.
state?
I think it's a show me state.
How do you like me now?
No. And a safari. What does the word safari mean?
Adventure.
Kinda.
Ride.
No.
Wild.
Journey.
Journey.
Yes. So, I think I might have to give you guys like a D on that.
I don't care. I got chocolate and little fried something over here. I'll probably have explosive something later on today.
All right. That's my little quiz.
All right.
Okay. So I think like when people say safari, you think of like Lion King, or you think of like the zoo, you know, in Toledo they have that cool safari exhibit. So I think we need to hit the basics 101 of what is a safari. So let's start at the very basic. Besides it being well, maybe that's where you start. What is a safari?
Journey. So you're going to go to Africa, obviously, and you're probably going to take a multi-day experience into conservatories, conservancies, or national parks. And we basically went to national parks. I went to Tanzania for the safari. I've been to Kenya before for a safari as well. And the two areas, the area in Kenya, which is called the Masai Mara, and the area in Tanzania, which is called the Serengeti, sort of meet up. It's the same land mass, just in two different countries. So I saw it from the Kenyan side and from the Tanzania side. They're very different. So a safari is really a trip that you cannot really do it yourself. You really need to have some experts involved here. And I went...
Probably every step, right?
Yeah, really, from start to finish, you really cannot do it yourself. You need an expert involved. So I went as part of a group that was hosted by a company that's based in the U.S. with connections in Tanzania and Botswana and other places in Africa, but we were obviously focused on Tanzania. And they pick you up at the airport, and you do the safari, and then they drop you off at the end. You are in their hands the entire time. And
That's probably safe because of the big scary animals.
Well, not just that, but it's a different country with, so first of all, they drive on the other side of the road and the other side of the vehicle. So that's like strike one and doing it yourself. And things are not really, they are not developed like they are here. There are many unpaved roads. There are not really road signs. You really would have a difficult time getting around. So that's strike two. And then if you want to go into the areas where the animals live, you need permits and permissions, and you need to know where you're going. There are no real signs. There may be a sign painted on a rock, literally. But yeah, you need to have a guide to pick out the animals and to get you there safely. So
it's not a do-it-yourself.
It is really not a do-it-yourself.
Yeah.
And on my adventure, we started in Moshi Town, which is, we flew into Kilimanjaro, but that was the airport. We stayed in Moshi Town, which is a little town sort of at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro. We could see it from our hotel the first couple of nights when the clouds lifted, which was really cool. A lot of people like to hike Mount Kilimanjaro. That was not our intention at all. We like to see it, not to hike it. And then we set out the next day, the first full day we were there, we did some local experiences. So we went to a pre-kindergarten and a coffee
preschool?
farm. Yeah, so that pre-kindergarten experience was just so precious and so eye-opening. Education is a very politically charged topic in Tanzania.
I feel like that's everywhere.
Yeah, there maybe more so than anywhere else. So we met a man who he really wants to transform his community by educating children at a very young age, and especially girls. And he told me something very interesting. He said, the biggest challenge we have facing Tanzania is not poverty, it is not disease, it is ignorance. And he went on to explain why he felt that way, and I can understand it. So he's trying very, very hard to kind of change his own little corner of the world. He gave us a tour of his village, which was very eye-opening and very, I was very glad to see that. And we met these just darling children and the teacher, and then the parents or the community members who also really work in that school to bolster the education for these kids and give them a really big head start on their lives. They're really transforming the world. I would venture a guess that lots of people in Tanzania never leave their village. They don't have cars. There's not a robust transportation system. There may be buses, but they're not leaving their area. They don't really know what's beyond really what's just in their immediate backyard. So having a person like this man, his name was Nikas, and really dedicate his life to making a transformation was really cool to see.
So a safari is more than just animals then?
Yeah. When you go, you really want to see more than, at least me. I want my travelers to really understand a place, not just kind of view animals from a safari vehicle window. You want to understand how the whole area works, how the animals work with the villagers, what their thoughts are on tourism and the animals that they have to live with. Imagine having a national park without fences in your backyard, and you have livestock, and lions can come and eat your livestock, but you don't want to kill those lions because that's important to your country's tourism. How do you live with that? So getting that perspective from them, important. Then we also went to a coffee farm before we set out on a safari, and that too was very eye-opening. I've been to a number of coffee farms. This was very primitive. It was on the side of a hill, a very steep hill. You had to go down like wet kind of paths that you could easily slip on, and you know how good I am with that. To get to the farm, they have really no mechanical tools at all. Everything's done by hand. Picking, harvesting, taking like the fruity part off of the coffee bean. It's all done by hand. So that was a real privilege too, to see how labor intensive it is and how they make it work in their community. And then of course I had to bring some coffee home.
I was gonna say, you brought some back.
Yeah, I did. But you know,
the guy was like, it took me a week to make that coffee.
Yeah, instead of like the whole process we saw, but at the very end when you have the roasted beans and we just throw it in our little machine that grinds it up, they don't have that. They put it in a hollowed out log with a pestle, and they pulverize it until it's coffee powder. They don't even have a coffee machine. They just put it in boiling water, and then
you could have bought them one of your Little House on the Prairie things that would have probably advanced their cause a lot.
That's kind of like what they had. They didn't even have a grinder like that for the coffee. So fascinating. But that was the first day. The next day we actually set off for our safari adventure, which was just incredible. It's, you know, I've been talking with other people that were on it with me, and we are all like, how do you even put it into words? It was amazing and beautiful and very special, and it's something I think everybody should do. It's not scary. Everybody's like, oh, you know, the lions are going to eat you. no, they're not. They're not going to eat you. They're not interested in you. Even though we did have some kind of close encounters with some wildlife, they're really not interested in you. So our group consisted of 6 women, and I only knew one of the other women before I left. The other 4 I met on our journey, and I just loved traveling with other women. We had 2 male drivers and a male tour operator that were with us. We let them into our little club. We called ourselves the Sassy Safari Ladies, and that was the name of our photo circle group. And it was great to like hear everybody's perspectives on life and things and what they saw in Tanzania versus what I saw in Tanzania. We had great conversations in our safari vehicle. We had a lot of fun, and it was. I didn't think it was going to be like a girls' trip. In fact, you guys know I was kind of hesitant to even go. But it ended up being just an amazing experience, and
That's awesome.
I'd replicate it again in a heartbeat. So,
Okay, so you've done one in Tanzania and one in Kenya.
yeah.
Are there's other places in Africa?
Yes.
Are these like the 2 primary, or?
These are the 2 good introductory countries to go to, I think. You can go to Rwanda for gorilla trekking. You can go to South Africa, Botswana. You know, there's other places you can go, but I think if you want a good overview, Kenya and Tanzania are really good places. I have to say, maybe I give Tanzania a little bit of an edge.
That's what I was wondering, if you liked one better.
I feel like in Kenya, I saw a larger concentration of animals in spots, but in Tanzania, I feel like the whole experience was wonderful. Like, not just the safari part, but like the connection with people and visiting villages and other places was very, very good. Now, Kenya may have that too. And it might be that I just didn't experience that when I was there. But the tour operator that we were checking out did an amazing job of connecting us to local people, local things. One afternoon, the day we were leaving, we went to his friend's mom's house, and she made us lunch. And, you know, she was
What did you have, Tim?
I did not stay for the lunch, unfortunately, because I had to catch a plane. That's a whole nother story we can talk about too, because my flight got canceled and I had to rebook and leave early. She was making banana stew, I believe, and seeing her, it was described to us as she's an upper middle class woman, single lady who has a small business where she makes things and takes them to the market. I think they were cookies and snack things. That's like her form of living. But seeing like how she lives versus how I live, was very interesting and eye-opening, and I think she was living very well in Tanzania, but still the way she adapts to doing her household chores versus how I do my household chores are very different. It was interesting. But you probably want to hear about the animals.
Well, no, I have a few more basic questions I got to get to too. So, you were there during the Great Migration,
Yes,
right? Is that the best time to go on a safari, or is it any time, or what time of the year are we looking at?
So it's a good time to go, but the tour operators really know the best times to go. From what I understand, like the next few months are going to be quiet months. Really, it depends on the rain, because they don't really have seasons like we have. They have like short rains and long rains and dry seasons, so you want to know what season it is. And then it's actually based on the height of the grass and where the animals are in relationship to their grazing habits with that grass. So the Great Migration is really just like a circle of wildebeest and zebra, really, that goes from the Serengeti up to the Masai Mara and back down to the Serengeti. So it takes a whole year to do this loop. And they're really just chasing clean grass, clean, not dry grass. So they kind of move in this pattern. And you want to be there when they're there, because when they're there, the predators are also there looking
to eat them.
Yeah, exactly. So
it
really is the circle of life. And when you're there, you see this delicate balance of everything. Big, small, like dung beetles. We saw a couple of dung beetles. Do you know what they are?
Yeah.
Do you know what dung beetle is?
What do they eat? The poop?
They roll it into a ball. They like come and clean up the poop. They roll it into a ball. I have a picture of one. And then they kind of move it away. So you don't see a lot of poop laying around. You don't see a lot of...
Well, you should have brought one of those back for Roy.
No.
Clean up Roy in the back.
No. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
What's a wildebeest?
A wildebeest is like it's a utilitarian animal, I guess is the way to put it. kind of like a buffalo, but smaller.
Oh, those are the pictures, weren't they?
Pumbaa is a warthog.
Oh.
Yeah. So wildebeest are like they're a very big part. They're a big source of food for lions. So the lions kill the wildebeest, then they do their part eating it. Then the next crew comes, and that's usually the hyenas, and they will eat what's left and kind of crunch the bones down. They'll eat the bones, and then birds come in and eat what's left. Like there's a whole chain of cleaning up this animal that sustains them.
It's really a beautiful thing.
It really is. We saw a couple of wildebeest kills, and in the distance you could see the hyenas waiting for their turn, and beyond that you could see the vultures sitting in the tree waiting for their turn.
Wow.
Well, why aren't we watching this video? That sounds fascinating. I think Chrissy would like that video too.
I don't want to know
It's
that part.
a circle of life.
I think of that song. Keep
And when the lions die, as they said in The Lion King, the lions die, they become the grass, which then feeds the wildebeest, which then, then feeds the lions.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, well, I think this would be fascinating for our age people. Is this adults only? Is it more for retirees? Is this something like, do people take their little kids to say, hey, watch that wildebeest get eaten alive?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what ages
Okay, so
are
I
these
did
safaris for?
not see anything get killed at all this time. I did see, when I was in Kenya, I saw a cheetah kill a gazelle. I did see a couple of kills after it was all done, not even recently after it was done. And yeah, I do think it's for all people. I wouldn't take super little kids. I think some lodges have a age limit of maybe like 8 or 9. But I do think it's a good multi-gen trip if you have children that can appreciate that and don't need a lot of attention. I think it's a great adult trip, adults only trip, especially if you're in like 50s, 60s, young 70s. You need a little bit of mobility still to do a safari.
I'm too young for that group.
Well, you could definitely
I'll
do it
sit
too.
back and have the chocolate.
Well, they're kind of expensive, and I'll talk about that too. So yeah, when you get to that age, you maybe have a little more extra cash to do it. You do need to have some mobility. Getting in and out of safari vehicles takes a little bit of effort. You have to have good knees to sit in a safari vehicle for a long time.
Yeah, you got some sun.
Yeah,
vehicles.
I did. You really, nothing is really paved, so you may have to walk over like cobblestones. It's not even like a paved European street. It's just dirt with stones in it. So you do need some mobility. So if a safari is on your bucket list, don't wait. Go when you can. And once you go once, I think you'll be hooked and want to go again. I mentioned a safari is expensive, and it is. And you think, oh, I'm really just kind of, basically driving around, looking at animals and staying in a tent. Mm-hmm. There's so much more to that. First of all, the permits are incredibly expensive to get into these national parks. They need those funds in order to maintain the parks and really provide anti-poaching measures so that the animals stay and they're not harvested for their tusks or horns or anything like that. The camps that you go to are pretty isolated, so those camps have to build roads and ways to get to them that are expensive. They have to maintain those roads, and those roads are not good all the time. Lots of rutted things where you could easily get stuck. And you can see where like new roads are created by vehicles because the main road has become just a lake, so they kind of just go out of the way and create a new one. And then getting any goods to the hotel is very expensive because it can take hours and hours to get a shipment. You can't just run to the store and pick up, a bottle of milk.
A bag of cassava.
Yeah. Now, some of the camps are incredibly luxurious, and it is like 5-star plus luxury. Don't think that you're going to be sleeping in a tent in a sleeping bag on the ground. No, you will have like a 4-post. You can have like a 4-poster bed with a bathtub, with a beautiful porch that overlooks a watering hole where the elephants come and drink after they've been grazing all day. Fine dining. There are some very luxurious camps. There are some not so luxurious camps too, where it's more just basic stuff. But there's something for everyone.
I feel like that's where it's really important to work with someone like you, because some people want the more immersive sleep on the floor, and some people don't.
There are so many factors. Like for example, we went to a place called the Ngorongoro crater, and you want to be one of the first people into that crater in the morning. So you want to spend the night close to the crater's edge. So you would need to know that, like, where's the gate? There's only one way in. Gigantic crater. There's one way in. So where's the best place to stay near that edge? Like, all those little factors play in. You're also housing your driver, because you have a safari guide / driver who's with you the entire time that you're on a safari. 1 week, 2 weeks, doesn't matter how long, they're with you. So you need to have a place for them to stay and eat as well. And the camps take care of that. They have housing for the drivers. But all things you need to kind of put into consideration when you are budgeting for a safari. They're not cheap, and there's a reason why. Right. And I completely understand why. It's worth it, though.
It's a bucket list trip.
It really is a bucket list trip. Yeah.
So before we dig into the animals, because I think that's what Chrissy's most excited about, there's a few other things I thought that you brought that I think we should talk about. First off, so money is very different there. I mean, you talked about expenses. Obviously, no matter where you go in the world, they have different kind of currency. Yeah. The cost of goods is different. So you brought back some money from Tanzania. Yeah. You want to tell us about like, the finances there? And
So they use both the Tanzanian shilling, which is what Michael has here, and the U.S. dollar, actually.
This looks kind of cooler.
So
guys on there.
They will accept U.S. dollars most places, but I don't like to travel with, a lot of U.S. dollars. So I took money out of the ATM, which is what I usually do.
Got a rhinoceros or
rhinoceros.
That's what rhinoceros is.
And I got shilling. So give me this one right here. So this is...
That's the big money?
10,000 Tanzanian shillings.
Let me hold it up on the things.
It is the largest bill that...
Just like the elephant.
That the country produces. And guess how much that's worth?
Well, it looks like it's worth a lot because it's got some different flashy colors on it. It's the elephant.
It's worth $4 US.
Oh,
so if you wanted $400, you would need 100 of those bills in your wallet.
But all the security stuff in it, they had to cost more than $4 to make. I mean, this is like fancy.
Yeah. Well, that's the largest bill that they have.
That's pretty cool.
So therefore, a lot of people will take US dollars. And then they've got coins too. I have no idea how much those are, but they're probably just pennies.
It's a bunch of guys on them, and then there's some animals. I think this is the wildebeest on this one. Maybe. This is a 500. I don't know if you could see that or not. It kind of like wildebeest.
20 cents, maybe.
Okay.
I don't even know. I haven't done the math.
So they have different currency, but it's also cheaper there to get stuff.
So I discovered there are tourist prices and then there are local prices. So
like this chips. So these chips is 4,000.
Yeah. So that is like $2.
Now they're a little harder than you think, but they have a good saltiness to them. So like I would have a second one.
It's a Lawson's chip dip.
Oh yeah, let's go get some.
Firmer.
Go get some, Michael.
It's probably healthy because it's a root vegetable.
Yeah. It's amazing how much they use their gardens. Like if you go to a grocery store, and I use that word loosely, grocery store, you're not going to find fruits and vegetables because somebody's celebrating us.
We just have lemons everywhere.
They grow everything at home, or they are good at foraging. Like you would be shocked at how much they use of what they grow to cook with and eat with.
So the other interesting thing that you have over here. What's that?
Were you at a Taylor Swift concert?
What do you mean?
Those friendship bracelets.
I don't even know what you're talking about. So there's one of these bracelets over here that says Amani. So what's the deal with this, Tamara?
When we went to the preschool, we were encouraged to take stuff with us that we could give to them. So I took like some clothes and some school supplies and things like that. But one of the ladies in our group made those bracelets, and they all had a word in Swahili like Rafiki, and the kids went crazy for them. I thought it was so sweet. We ended up having a few left over, and as we drove through the villages in Tanzania, my friend gave away the extra. Even adults liked them. I think mine means peace. I can't remember what that word means. I feel like it means peace. But I thought that was just a brilliant idea and a really good way to make Rafikis, friends, in in Tanzania.
I kind of want to bring them the candy bracelets instead.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
imagine those little kids with the candy and then the big ring? You know, they would. Oh my God.
So speaking of candy and kids,
What?
as you drive through these villages in your safari vehicle, they know that you're obviously a tourist. So the kids literally come running out, hi. And
Like celebrities. Did you feel like you were a celebrity?
I did. Well,
did you wave?
So when I went to, yes, I waved all the time. So when we were in Kenya, they did that, and I asked my guide, why do they do that? And he said, they're just so happy to see you. I thought, how nice that these kids are saying
I want to know
hello.
the truth. Why are they really?
So this time I asked my guide, why are they doing that? He's like, they want something from you. So
they've learned quick.
Yeah. So as soon as
like New Orleans,
as he said that, my friend on the trip, we stopped at the gas station and she bought like $80 worth of candy that we could pass out to these kids as we drove around.
Oh.
And I got to tell you, it was so much fun. Our driver's name was Victor. Driving this big Land Cruiser, he'd see a bunch of kids and he'd stop and he'd beep the horn and like kids would just filter out from places, and we'd give them a little piece of candy or a little bracelet or something, and they just were so grateful and so happy, and it was really nice to kind of make that connection with local people.
Aww.
So I know if we could have stopped and got more candy, we could have you would have loved it. Like a Mardi Gras float.
Now, I like to usually keep this positive, but I think we need to talk about something you mentioned in the office that you experienced and learned, a cultural thing over there. And it's like in the relationships of the adults and how women are treated. I think you need to share some of this dark side of the positive, because the good thing about immersion is you're learning about the culture, but I think you should share that, because I think this is, I didn't know some of this stuff.
Are you talking about cows and goats?
The cows and goats, multiple.
Yeah, so the older I get, the more interested I am in women in a particular community and how, like, what power do they have and how are they treated and what's their role, etc. So Tanzania is in Africa really in general, I think is a glaring place where there's a lot of inequality for women. And I don't want to make this political, it was something very obvious to me. Women are sort of, I want to say second-class citizens. It's getting better, but they're not educated. They're not taught about family planning. They're not given priority over men. They really do a lot of the work. In some of the tribes, they are the ones that have to build the huts out of cow dung and grass and provide for their multiple children, while the men have multiple wives and it's just a different way of living. Depending on your tribe, when you want to marry a woman, you have to negotiate with their family or their representatives about how many cows and goats you're going to give them in exchange for your bride. Which, I just don't like that. She's a woman on her own. She shouldn't be exchanged for cows and goats.
Hey, you kind of think you're over that stuff. That was like, generations ago.
I loved seeing women in Tanzania who owned a business or had a leadership role. We met some along the way, and that was very, very encouraging to me. And their president is a woman, which we haven't even broke through that barrier here in the U.S. So that was very good to see that, a woman was leading their country. She was not elected. The former president died really early into his term, and she took over. She was vice president. And I watched a documentary over the weekend about her, and I think I'm going to post it on Traveling with Tamara, because she's a very interesting lady, and I really hope she can change the outlook for women in Tanzania. They don't know what they don't know. They're not given access to education all the time. So how do you know that there's something better out there, a better opportunity for you? On the very last day, I was driving to the airport with a driver, and we were talking about that. And I do see in the younger men, like, the realization that women play an important role in their society and they need to help empower women. So he was talking about his wife. She has a job, and she makes per month about what our hourly rate is here for a worker.
Like $15 or $12?
Yeah, $15 a month is what she makes. So how do you support a family on $15 a month when you don't have a companion, a male in the picture who's going to help raise your children. So really,
That's why they have to farm. I mean, how else do you survive?
You really see communities raising kids together, and you see a lot of little kids walking to school by themselves, or walking down the street by themselves, or we would drive up with beep the horn, and little kids were outside all by themselves. And these are kind of remote areas where it'd be very easy for them to get abducted or whatever. They just don't know. There's an issue with that. But like I said, I see younger men really taking charge of trying to empower women, and I loved that. So.
Well, I think we needed to hear that. I think people needed to hear that it's still like that, but it's heading the right direction. But I think now we should end on a high note and pivot back to the animals and some of the highlights and your favorites and experiences and any other snacks that,
Well, there's cashews from...
Well, that's a little healthy. So,
they're chili cashews.
Chili.
I
do like chili.
I know. I already broke into those.
Spicy?
That and super.
I wouldn't have had one except they are chili. That's probably 0 points.
Have you ever seen a cashew grow?
These are bigger cashews than like the ones that come in a can.
You should see the avocados there. Oh my gosh. The fruit and vegetables, outstanding, and different things.
Oh, there's a little. It's just something else.
Yeah, not much. I thought they were good.
They are. I'm gonna have one more.
It was hard. It was really hard to find like a grocery store to buy stuff to bring you guys home.
My mom would love these.
Yeah. No, you can't take them.
Okay, what other highlights? Let's hear your highlights.
Okay, so
you told us some. You talked about coffee.
Yeah.
You talked about the school.
So then after we did that, we set out on like the official safari where you're going out into these national parks and you're there really to see animals.
Is that what you do all day then? I mean, like, does that get old?
No, it never got old. Sometimes it got a little frustrating when you couldn't find stuff, but really it just depends on the time of day, the height of the grass. Like we went into one park at the very end and the grass was super high. There's no way you could see like a lion laying in the grass, like under a tree, which is where they usually lay. It was just the grass was too high. But so we went. The first stop was Lake Manyara, beautiful lake, and that park is known as the home of the tree climbing lion. So we were very excited because a tree climbing lion is something sort of rare. So drove through the whole park and did not see one single lion, not one single tree climbing lion.
Maybe they were in the trees and you couldn't see them.
Cats can't get out of trees. Like here, if a cat climbs a tree, fire.
Those are big cats, though.
Leopard. Okay, so the leopards basically live in a tree. They like to find a leopard. It's probably there's 5 big animals that everybody wants to see.
The big 5, right?
The big 5. That was based on game hunting in the past, but now it's still something that the drivers kind of measure their success upon. So let me see if I can get it right. Giraffe, lion, buffalo, leopard, rhino. I think those are the big 5.
Did you see them?
Not an elephant?
Yes. No. No.
So you can see those at the zoo anytime.
So the leopard is always the hardest because they really go up in a tree and kind of, I'll show you a picture of a leopard. The leopard we thought was very difficult.
I think I saw that picture.
Very difficult. Yeah. And when I was in Kenya, same thing. Very difficult to see the leopard. But the others, I think we saw 3 in the first day. We saw 3 of the big 5.
That's a good first day.
Yeah, our drivers were excellent. They're really Rafiki's friends of ours now. They were fun. We had our meals with them too. And that's another tip. If I was sending somebody on a safari, I would encourage you to not detach yourself from your driver guide. They are just incredibly knowledgeable about your safari experience, but also life in wherever you're exploring, and they're a lot of fun. So invite them to have dinner with you or lunch or whatever. Like, don't exclude them. They are really good people to know, and they're friends now of ours. We had Craig and Victor were our 2 people, and I was in Victor's vehicle, and he would turn on. You would love it. He would turn on like reggae tunes for us when it was kind of.
That's why Tamara really likes the guy.
He was so much fun. Yeah, we maybe had a little tequila in the back seat. Me and a friend in the very far back, which we loved our far back experience. It was by the cooler, so we could keep our drinks in there. And we had wine. It was fun. So no tree climbing lions at Lake Manyara, and I was like, I went all the way here, and I didn't get to see the famous tree climbing lion, but I did eventually. So the next day we went to the Serengeti. Driving there, we saw all sorts of things. The next day, we did something that I almost didn't do, but it was probably one of the highlights of my trip, and that is a balloon ride over the Serengeti. And you guys know I debated, because they're expensive. It's expensive to do a balloon ride. I debated, do I really want to do it or do I not want to do it? And I did it, and I'm so glad I did.
That video is amazing. It looks fake because it's so like picturesque.
It was just amazing. So I'll backtrack quickly. The morning of the sunrise safari, our driver was picking us up at like 4:50 a.m. Yeah. Well, you want to get there before the sun rises, and you have to drive about an hour to get there.
Oh.
So it's okay. It's okay. So you cannot walk around the camps by yourself at night without a guard. You have to call to get a Maasai warrior to come pick you up and take you to wherever you need to go. And that's because the animals, the predators, are really out at night. And you can hear them. Like, you can hear hyenas, you can hear lions, you can hear rustling. So you want to stay in your camp, your tent, unless you have a guard. So I heard on the radio, I heard some of my fellow travelers ask for a guard to come. And then a few minutes later, I asked for a guard to come get me. And when I got down to the dining tent where we were all meeting, they were like, "Did you just see that?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they said, "A lion just, like 5 lions were just here, lionesses." And they showed me the video, and the path that I was walking on, there were lions on that path. And then next to the tent, the dining tent, a lion like was laying on the platform and jumped off and ran down to meet right there as I walked by. Now, they're not interested in us, really. They just aren't. And the Maasai guys were kind of laughing at us because we were like all freaked out a little bit, and they were like, this happens all the time. So the balloon ride was just incredible. After we got into it, and that was a whole process. Like, I thought they would just be a ladder, and you just climbed the ladder and got down into your basket. No. The basket's laying on its side, and they make you kind of, what's the easiest way to, kind of have to shimmy into it.
There's the video of this.
There's a picture. And of course, there's like a bottom rack and a top rack, and I got the top rack.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is not fun, but again, totally worth it. So once they start blowing the balloon up, then your basket goes upright, and then you lift up and you just float. We floated gently across the savannah.
I kind of thought you'd get higher up, though. You weren't that high off the ground.
We did get up kind of high sometimes, but they really have to find like the level of wind, like where wind is happening, the layer, and there was not a lot of wind that day at all. Like, they were struggling to find some way to make us go forward. But we did hover over a giant hippo pool. We saw some hippos fighting and then chasing. We saw some elephants in the distance. We saw a crocodile. We saw little animals here and there. It was super cool, and I'm really glad I did it. Then after you land, was that rough? No. But they don't know where you're going to land. So there are vehicles that kind of chase your balloon until you land, and then they come and assist you and you get out. They look for like the softest, easiest place, like closest to a road. We still had to walk quite a distance to get to the road in order to have our mango and champagne toast, a mango mimosa, to our beautiful morning. And then everybody gets in a vehicle, and then they take you to a place where you have a full English breakfast under an acacia trees. And it was delicious and beautiful. And it was one of those pinch me moments where you're like, gosh, did I just do that? That was really, really incredible. And I wish I could do it all day long for the rest of my life, because it was super cool. So we did that. I think it was the same day. Because we had such an early balloon ride, and then we did a little game driving afterwards, we went back to our camp for lunch. And usually we just ate lunch while we were out game driving, but we went back to our camp, and we were in the middle of eating, and somebody came running in and said, "There's a group of 7 lionesses under the tree right by the camp. Get in the vehicles." So we got in the vehicles, drove over there. Sure enough, underneath this tree, just maybe, 30 feet from one of the tents, was a group of 7 lionesses just taking their afternoon nap and kind of wandering around a little bit. Really cool, really close.
Coffee? I was going to say it.
Yeah, my coffee's over there. I'm okay. No, I'm okay. So then after we did that, we went back and ate lunch, and we continued our lunch. And somebody was standing on the porch, and they said, "I think I just saw a lion jump up in that tree in the distance. And then they said, I just saw another one. So back in the vehicles we went and we drove out there. Sure enough, there's 3 lionesses just kind of hanging in the trees, enjoying the afternoon breeze, taking a nap. And because we were at a private camp in a private area, it was just us. There was nobody else around. Because usually when you find like a lion, like there'll be a whole bunch of vehicles that kind of come and bother the lion. I hate that. But when you're in a private area, it's just you and those animals, and that's really special. So I did get to see my tree climbing lions, but they weren't where they were supposed to be. They were in a place where they weren't supposed to be. So
if they can do that, can't they just jump on your little tent and kill you?
No, they're not going. They're not interested in you at all. They don't care about you. They know.
I mean, don't they see like a big what's the W animal? The bull animal?
Wildebeest.
Don't they see wildebeest when they see me coming? Like, I'd be a little afraid.
No. Maybe you should be afraid, but no. No, and your guide's going to keep you safe. No, you're fine. Actually, the most dangerous animal is the hippo, not the lion. And the hippos they're grazers. They don't eat meat. But when you come in between them and their babies, you are in trouble. So they're the most dangerous. When I was in Kenya, we stayed at a camp on a lake full of hippos, and at night they got so close to my tent I could hear them breathing and eat. Like, it was super cool. Now just stay in your tent and you're not going to bother them at all.
I don't think I'd be able to sleep. I'd be too afraid.
Oh, hippos make the most interesting sound too. It was really cool. I wish I could go back there. It was super, super cool. You just don't want to leave. You just want to stay there and be quiet and listen. But yeah, we heard hyenas in the distance. You hear all sorts of chattering and rustling at night. And, you wonder what's out there. One of my traveling companions swore there was a lion on her porch. So the guides said that the lions don't like to lay in wet grass. They're going to look for a place that's elevated. That's why they go in the tree. And that's why, like, our elevated porch would be a good place for them to go lay. They don't want to feel that wetness. They want to be dry. And really, if you're you're in the middle of nowhere, and the only dry area is on a porch, and you want to be dry, you're going to go lay on it. So, yeah,
so cool.
Super cool. So, that, so when we were leaving the Serengeti, this all happened in the Serengeti, we witnessed the Great Migration, which we had talked about before. And it was very impressive. You look, it's hard to even describe it from pictures because they don't capture what it was, but it's 3.5 million wildebeest and zebras that are migrating through that area at one time. So you look out in the distance and you just see thousands and thousands of animals. And then as you're driving through, there's thousands of animals as well, but it's not like they're grouped together in one bunch. They're just scattered everywhere. So I was hoping to see some babies being born because 500,000 babies are born during these 3 weeks in February. We didn't see any birth, but we saw some babies, which was kind of fun to see. I love babies like that.
I don't think I'd go there wanting to view that. Isn't it kind of like a messy private thing?
Well, that's you.
It's an animal, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how private is it going to be?
Yeah. It's women doing the brunt of the work and the...
I'm sure the male animal was there. Breathe.
Well,
I love you. You can do it.
She doesn't know who the baby daddy is, I'm sure.
Okay.
And then we went to maybe the 8th wonder of the world, something called the Ngorongoro crater, which took my breath away the first time we saw it. It is a collapsed volcano, and it created this enormous crater. I don't remember how big it is, but it's big. And you can drive down inside of it, and it's kind of got its own ecosystem down there. So there's like 30,000 animals, and I think I read 500 different species of birds that are down there. And you just drive and drive and drive. And one of some of the coolest things in the Ngorongoro crater were the flamingos. You know, I love flamingos.
Oh, your favorite.
I've never heard flamingos kind of talking to each other. And that was really cool to hear. There's just everything's down there. Lions, hyenas, warthogs, pumbas. Rhino. We saw 3 black rhino, which they're endangered. We saw them from a distance. We saw them closer up later on. But gosh, it was incredible to drive through. It was like going to another world. We stopped someplace to have lunch. Now that's kind of hard. Like you need a guide to like know where to stop. So they built this little visitor center with bathrooms and then a picnic area. We drove down to the picnic area. But our drivers wouldn't take us to the picnic tables because it was very wet and mushy. They didn't want their vehicles to get stuck. So we had to kind of figure out how to get there ourselves, which was a little bit of a challenge. Once we got there, we realized two things. A, tons of bugs. And the bugs in Africa are no joke, especially the flies. They're going to get you. They hurt. And second of all, there were these big birds, well, a big bird in particular, and then some smaller birds that wanted our lunch too. And they managed to knock stuff out of one of my friend's hands, and then the big birds.
This sounds horrible.
Yeah, it was a circle of life. But it was kind of cool because you're here and there's a hippo pool right there with all these hippos kind of swimming around. No, there's no barrier. You're just part of the African landscape. And then these birds who have somehow figured out how to try to eat human food. The monkeys are bad too, and I'll talk about them in a second. So we left Ngorongoro Crater and then went to a place called Tarangire National Park, which is supposed to be a place that like thousands and thousands of elephants migrate through during certain times of the year. We saw some elephants, but not as many as we had hoped to see. It was a little bit of a bust, but that's okay. That's what safaris are about sometimes. The two of the most interesting things there were the baobab trees, which I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're kind of upside down trees. Like they have a really enormous trunk, and then the top is like shorter branches, so it kind of looks like the roots are at the top. At this time of year, there were leaves on the roots. They're gorgeous, like the tree of life at Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom is a baobab tree. But at that one, okay, eat lunch there, and there's these little monkeys, I don't even know what kind of monkey they were, baboons maybe, that were literally stealing people's lunch. Like if you did not hover over your lunch, those little monkeys were.
We know
That would get ugly.
Yeah.
Don't mess with my
I
food.
survived the lunch. There was like a little baby underneath me, very cute, but it was learning its thievery ways from parents. So, okay, so we're all done, and there's a van there that sells ice cream. They have like a cooler inside the van. I don't know how they keep it cold, but I asked my driver, hey, would you like some ice cream? Yeah, so I went and got ice cream for me and him. I'm walking back to him, and I see the other driver looking at me, and then he starts screaming, hey! And as he screams, a monkey comes and knocks my hand, knocks both of the ice creams out, smashes one, picks up the other one, knows how to open the package, eats my ice cream, and leaves me with one. So I went and got another one, but the one that I took, the one that was smashed, it was all smashed to pieces, which is not fun eating ice cream in Africa.
But that picture you posted of his little face, I mean, it was so like, oh my gosh.
They're mean little
Yeah, but they were
monkeys. Yeah, you would feed them and enable them.
Did you touch them?
No.
No.
I would not touch
Is
them.
that safe?
No. But I could have touched a lion.
Just like you don't
remember that video I showed you? We were in the Serengeti Plains,
yes,
and we saw a very beautiful male lion walking towards us, and there are no trees at all. You can't see a tree anywhere in the distance for miles and miles. So our vehicle created a little piece of shade, and that lion wanted shade, and the shade was right by my seat. And my windows are open, and that lion, you hear him coming and breathing, and he lays right down, right next to me, and I could have just pet him so easily. I didn't, but it was super cool. Super cool.
I wonder what he would have done.
I know. I think about that often. Like, would he
would
have
eat you.
Would have startled him, and then he
would he have roared at me? I know. I killed you. I couldn't do it. He wouldn't have eaten me, but he just wanted some shade.
But he might have liked a scratch behind his ears too.
I know. I would have been more like a butt scratch, but
like
my dog likes. Yeah, and another cool thing we saw, and I posted a picture of this too, and it's super rare. So we were in the Serengeti. We're all by ourselves, way out. We're alone somewhere, and it starts to rain, and the vehicle in front of us, which is our vehicle too, sees a mom with a brand new baby in her mouth. She's carrying that baby to safety, and she was beautiful, and she's carrying this precious little cub to hide it away somewhere, and our guides were like, we don't see things like this, like that new of a baby. There may have been another baby somewhere else. She can only take one at a time, but obviously she had just given birth to that baby recently.
lion this was?
Yeah, and she was trying to get it to safety.
Mm,
She
it's a
just was,
beautiful photo.
she was proud, and it was almost like she's showing us her baby, and she was trying to get it to safety. So that was a really cool moment.
I thought it looked like the thing was trying to eat the baby.
No, she was
That's
carrying the baby.
Cats carry them
She
by
can't pick him up by her hands.
their scruff of their neck.
Yeah, that's what she was doing. Yeah. Maybe you don't need to go on a safari. I think you would really like it.
You know, even my cat, if I pick him up by the scruff of his neck and like under his belly, he snuggles in. Like I think it makes him feel like
Yeah, that's
you
what
know,
their mamas do.
Yeah, their mamas do that.
Yeah, so that was super cool to see. It was really nice to see that. So then after we did like those safari days, which were just amazing, and I could go on, and pictures don't do it justice. I asked, so in our vehicle, I asked my companions, do you think a safari changes you? And the best answer was, it doesn't change you, but it gives you different angles to your personality. Because you start to see things differently. You start to see life a little differently. I think a safari is really good for your soul. It's, you know, you cannot be connected to civilization, really. Wi-Fi is basically non-existent in some places. And you're really just focused on life and trying to discover life and see life. And, you know, it really does give you more angles. So I highly recommend it for everyone, even you two, even you, crusty old Michael, who doesn't like animals. I think you would like it. I really do. We may have to put you like in a middle seat so that the animals can't get too close to you. But if you just like embraced it, I think you would love it.
Yeah.
After that safari part, we needed a down day. So we went to a place called the Simba Farm Lodge, which was kind of at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro, but Mount Kilimanjaro was still far, far away. And it was a working farm that had lodging facilities, and you really kind of could rest and relax there. They made incredible food for us. We all kind of got a chance to catch up on a little bit of work, but I should have mentioned earlier, in these safari lodges, you only have electricity a few hours a day sometimes, like in the morning and in the evening. So if you didn't charge your phone in the morning, you didn't have a way to do some work if you didn't have a fully charged device. So we rested for half the day, and then we went out and did a visit to some of their fields with one of their employees, which was really interesting. We saw how they grow fruits and vegetables, and again, very primitive in what we consider farming. You know, lots of it's done by hand. The biggest challenge to their fields is not like we have deer as our challenge here, it's elephants. So the elephants will come down from the hills at night and kind of eat the crops. So they have big spotlights to try to keep the elephants away, and then they also have people that are on guard to kind of scare the elephants away if they come through, when the elephants are migrating through that part. Of course, I wanted to see the elephants doing that because I think that's kind of cool. So then that evening, we went to a sundowner, which I posted pictures about that. And sundowner is really just a drink that you have as the sun sets. But it was just one of those pinch me moments where we went to a great location and we sang songs like the one I've been playing in the office and got to really meet people that lived in Tanzania. I always ask, when I travel, I ask people, if you were president of your country, what would you change? And I was kind of surprised by the answers I got from these young people who worked at the Simba Farm Lodge. You know, the answers were not education. It was, we would like free access into our national parks. They don't want to have to pay as Tanzanians to get into their national park. So I got that answer more than once from different people. I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And then after we left Simba Farm Lodge, we went to the most incredible last drive at a place called Mikomazi National Park. And the park itself is kind of unremarkable. We didn't see a lot of animals as we were driving through it. And it was big. We had to drive quite a distance. But they are really at the forefront of conservation efforts for two species of animals, the wild dogs and the black rhino. Why are you rolling your eyes?
Wild dog.
No, have you seen a wild dog?
Well, Roy.
No, he's not a wild dog.
I mean, he runs like he's wild.
Wild dogs are they're so cute. They've got big cup-shaped ears, and they really are an endangered species. They run as a pack. So, you know, there's a leader of the pack, and, you know, everybody follows, but they're very, very endangered. So they have a breeding program there. They had a caged-in area where I think they have maybe 10 females that, they use for breeding. I guess they've been able to release, I want to say 200 or 400 pups into the wild, which that's good for conservation efforts, but I just hate to see animals caged in like that.
Yeah.
That bothers me. But they were actually, you read that wild dogs are really like mean and aggressive, but they opened the cage completely for us. And the dogs stayed back, and the guard threw pieces of meat, and they jumped for the meat, but they didn't ever become aggressive towards us, nor the trainer. It's almost like they were trained. But so the guards have to. There are armed guards that protect these wild dogs all the time because they're so endangered. Then after we did that, we went to the highlight of that park, and that is an area where they have black rhinos. Again, very endangered. It's a fenced-in area, but it's huge. It's enormous. And I think they have 4 or 6 black rhinos that they use for breeding. And I did not feel like those black rhinos were caged in at all because they could roam. They could roam for miles and miles. But again, armed guards.
Wow.
And the only way you can go see them is if you have one of those armed guards go with you. Now, they're endangered because of their horns. Poachers will kill them just for their horns. So we jumped in a vehicle, and I got in the vehicle, and I'm like, why is like the seat all shredded? Like, this is old and kind of gross. They need to recover these seats. So we're driving, and we're on roads, and I use that loosely. And then all of a sudden, he turns to go off-road, and we are faced with like a wall of branches and sticks, and we're going to go through all of it. And they have these trees. I don't know what they're called, but I call them the toothpick tree, because it's a branch, but off of the branch are like literally toothpicks, like probably, 2 or 3 inches long, that they're just covering it. And we were going to go through them. So I realized why it was all
shredded.
Were you closed in though?
No, we weren't. So he's like, so the vehicle should technically sit, there should be 3 rows of 3. We only had 3 rows of 2. And he's like, you have to shift to like the middle seat if it's going to be on your side. And it was tough to get through those branches. Like, he was plowing down a lot of stuff. We had to use a machete to cut some things down. It was a lot of fun, actually. We were totally off-road, tracking a rhino, and we found one. And gosh, it was an incredible experience because you could hear that rhino eating and breathing, and you were, a couple feet from it. And it's in its natural habitat. It's not in a zoo. Yeah. And as it moved, we kind of moved with it for a while until we lost it. But just an incredible experience. I'm just so grateful to have done that.
Couldn't it kill you though?
No, I don't think a rhino would kill you at all. I don't think it has any interest. They look like dinosaurs almost. They're prehistoric looking.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful. And, there's 4 or 6 of them in there. They're breeding them and protecting them. But how sad that they have to do that because of people poaching. So, and they do that with the elephants too. Speaking of elephants, back at the beginning of our trip, we're driving down a highway. We come across 3 very large male elephants with big tusks. They're called tuskers. Like, they're kind of rare to see them that old. And they were just on a regular, like, you're driving down 250 out in the country and you see in the, 40 feet off the road, you see elephants. Of course, you're going to turn in and go visit them. And our guide wants us to get good pictures, and he's doing what he thinks is right. So we're there, and all of a sudden we get a knock on the window, and a guy dressed in military fatigue yells at him and says he wants to talk to him at the front. And like, there were maybe 7 vehicles that were up there or that were in the area as well. They all had to go to the front and get out and go talk to the guide. So basically, the guide could have called like big military in because they were trespassing on property they shouldn't be on, or they could do what people in Tanzania do and give him a little bribe, and he would let them go. And that's what they did. The government's a little corrupt, so maybe not a little, maybe a lot. So I did not like to see that. That guy shouldn't profit off of, our guide trying to show us tourists, trying to show us, something interesting about their country, but he did. Yeah. So just the way it goes in there.
Yeah.
So that in a nutshell is my experience.
Awesome.
It was just amazing. And I highly, highly, highly recommend a safari. If it's on your bucket list, reach out to me because I would love to help you go experience it. They're just magical. Really, you cannot put into words the feeling you have, the experience that it is. It's incredible.
I feel like you said 10 things. 10 times was your favorite thing. So I can't even narrow down which was your favorite, whether it's the hot air balloon or whether it's the morning thing. I mean,
I loved seeing the mom lie. I don't even like cats. I'm not even a nature girl. You guys know that. I don't even really like nature.
how you like Roy?
Yeah, well, I loved seeing the mom with her baby. To me, that was like, yeah, that's girl power. That mom's taking care of her baby, and where's the dad? He disappeared. But
as we continue our show of persecuting men, that's what this show is all about. No longer Travel Talk Tuesday. The Hate Men Tuesday. HMT. Okay.
That's it.
So
Awesome.
I think if you're thinking, I think a lot of people think about it, but maybe think it's
not
not possible.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
Or it's too expensive.
plan,
Or it's overwhelming. Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah.
We can make it so easy for you. Really, just a phone call with the dates you want to go, the types of places you want to stay in, the place you want to visit, which country, and then let us get to work on it. And that's the beauty of a safari. All those little pieces and parts are taken care of for you.
And it's more achievable than you think, and more doable.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can. So the first time I went to Kenya, it was just my children and me in a vehicle. We had a private tour. This time there were 6 of us. We had 2 vehicles, which is kind of like, you want to know that too. You want to know how many people are in your vehicle, because you want to have space to kind of move around in your vehicle to go see animals. But you can do a small group of just you, or you can go as part of a larger group, or you can take a group of friends. But there's a lot of differences in safari vehicles, and that's something you won't know until you go. Like in Kenya, there's basically like VW buses with a pop-up roof that go on safari, but they cannot go through mud like a Land Cruiser can go through mud. You want that Land Cruiser. It costs a little more, but that's what you want. Like, don't waste your time on the other stuff. You'll get stuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, the warmer weather definitely sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't know about all those animals and mud and stuff, but all right. Good. Do you have anything else? Or Christy, you have any questions?
I do not.
Well, we're going to pivot. I know we've got some upcoming groups, Tamara, that you want to talk about.
Yeah, can I say one more thing about my trip? Sorry. It's kind of important. It's the importance of insurance. So I bought insurance to go on this trip, and as I was departing Cleveland for the beginning of my trip, I got a notification that my flight from Frankfurt, Germany to Kilimanjaro was canceled because there was a strike going on in Germany. So thankfully, you guys helped me scramble and get a flight, which I could purchase because I had insurance. If I did not have insurance, I would have had to have waited for Lufthansa, which is my carrier, to find me a replacement flight. And they could not find a replacement flight for at least 3 days after I was supposed to depart.
Yeah. Wow.
And I didn't go to 4 days to see if they could find a replacement flight. So because I had insurance, it saved me from missing the beginning of my safari. Same thing happened on the way home. I got a notification that in the middle of the night, before I was supposed to leave, that my flight had been canceled because of a strike, and I needed to find a replacement. That was a little more of a struggle because I could not connect to any, I couldn't get cell service really to buy a flight to get back home, but I managed to do it. I got to the airport early and figured it out. But because it's so critical to have insurance for a safari, not just for things like that, but for medical things as well. So I just want to plug for insurance.
Yeah.
That'd be scary if something happens out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So groups, you've got 2 groups I know you want to highlight?
Yep. Germany and Italy, we've talked about them many times on the show. There's still space available, so let me know if you'd like to join. Italy is the northern part. It goes Venice, Florence, the Italian lakes, Bologna, which I'm in love with Bologna right now, and areas in between. Tuscany, it's a very nice time of the year. It's October to go to Italy. The crowds will be lower and it'll be beautiful. And then Germany is a trip hosted by a local history teacher. I love Germany as well. It starts actually in Austria and Salzburg. It works its way through Bavaria, up to Berlin, and ends in Berlin. There's all sorts of fun things to do on the ways in between. Beer hiking, beer drinking, beautiful culture, beautiful buildings, lots of great food. So,
and decent prices too.
Yeah, the prices are really good.
Wonderful. So if you're interested in either of those trips, you want to sign up with the group, you want to contact Tamara sooner rather than later to get your name on that list and get your spot reserved, right?
Yep.
Chrissy, any new news in all-inclusive domestic travel? Any updates? Any interesting bookings?
Just getting lots of people looking for little getaways yet still, March and April. There is some availability on dates that maybe don't coincide with some spring break dates. So if it's a couple adults and you just want a little sun, I think we should be able to find you something. I did my invite to Rocky Mountaineer. I was
share this, a big training
yes,
that
I was
Chrissy's
so
going to be doing.
So Rocky Mountaineer is our partner with Train Travel through the Canadian Rockies, and it's a luxury train, all-inclusive, beautiful, wonderful trip. And I was invited to go on a 6-night trip in May to
I'm so excited
check it out and see what it's all about. So I'm very excited for that. Yeah.
That'll be fun. We
It's
can't
a
wait to
bucket
see
list.
pictures and videos.
A
That'll be
different
good.
kind of safari. Like
Yeah.
lots of animals, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm really excited. So.
Wonderful. Tamara, you got some bookings or any interesting updates or anything else?
Like lots of stuff. Lots. I don't even know where to start.
Okay.
Yesterday I got three new ones, to Germany and Istria honeymoon. So
There you go.
Yeah.
Working on, people are looking at holiday cruises, okay? And there is availability, but if you want the newest, best ship, we're probably going to be looking at 25, 26 more than this coming holiday season if you want the biggest, newest ships. Like Icon of the Seas is selling out or is sold out on a lot of trips throughout the year. But if you want one of these new big ships, we're already booking into Star of the Seas, which is the next generation ship.
Wow.
That'll be launching in the summer of 25. That's the sister ship of Icon. You've probably seen Icon on the news. They've covered it. You guys like that Today Show, right? It's been everywhere. If you're interested in that, we can look at dates this year, but it sold out a while ago. Maybe a year and a half it was filling up. So we'd probably be looking at the future, or we can look at Star that's going to be launching next year. So that's very exciting.
Wow.
And then I have an anniversary cruise. A couple reached out through our friend Zach, the traveling man. So this in a couple months, I think. So I said, I think it's a wonderful way to celebrate it. I think it's 25 years for this couple to go on a Virgin voyage.
Ooh.
And they're looking at the splash, a little splash of the romance.
Splash of romance?
Splash of romance. It's like $200 and you get a ton. I almost said the wrong word. A ton of stuff. From early boarding to you get a shake for champagne, you get spa passes, you get treats in the room. The list just keeps going on and on. So it's really good. I think it's going to be exciting for them. So hopefully we get that nailed down. And again, I think travel's back. And so if any trips are looking good, we want to get you start now, sooner rather than later, just so that we get the best availability and prices for you.
Yes.
Wonderful. Ladies, anything else you want to share?
I don't think so.
Well, I've got a bag of chips over here to finish and some whatever this
I
little
want to go home and hug my cat.
can be. I'm going to ask Brett to get a picture because I bet at some point you're going to put that cat in your mouth like that lioness.
You should just go for the cats.
I know.
Leopards,
Oh my
cheetahs,
goodness.
lions.
Yes.
So again, Safari Week all week long. So if you want to stay tuned for all the social media, all the videos, all the information, and if you're ready to sign up or to learn more, you want to contact Tamara or any trips that sound good, connect with us, and we would love to get you there. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Take care.